All right, all I can say is that the audio of Biden's classified docs interview must be really, really, really bad. So bad that Merrick Garland believed that keeping it secret was worth the risk that he'd be held in contempt of Congress. Sure enough, late today, the House voted to hold him in contempt for refusing to produce the recordings of the president's interview with special counsel Robert Hur. Now, remember, after interviewing Biden and then declining to file charges, Hur described him as an elderly man with a poor memory, pretty charitable, noting that Biden's recollection about his time as vice president was hazy. Biden couldn't recall the year that his son died, and when he struggled to remember what a fax machine was, he did it not once but twice, what it was called. Joining us now, Ohio Senator J.D. Vance. Senator, good to see you tonight. Why was it important that Merrick Garland be held in contempt today?
Well, first, Laura, if you break the law, you actually have to suffer some consequences for it. We have Steve Bannon being thrown in prison because he was in contempt of Congress. You, of course, have multiple other Republican officials who have had contempt of Congress used to weaponize our justice system against political enemies. And then, of course, you have, remember, Eric Holder in the Obama administration. He was in contempt of Congress. They did nothing. Now Merrick Garland is in contempt of Congress, and I think it's important for Republicans to say that if you guys try to weaponize the political system against your enemies, then we're actually going to follow the law. We're going to do what we have to do, and you're going to suffer consequences for breaking the law.
But what did Holder suffer?
Nothing.
I mean, isn't he speaking at Harvard tonight? I'm just making it up, but like he's not suffered at all. Probably gotten up to speaking fees.
This is unfortunately the standard, Laura, that too many establishment Republicans have allowed. That Democrats are allowed to break the law, no consequences. That has to stop. And if we've learned anything from the lawfare against Donald Trump, we have to learn that if less Republicans fight back against this stuff, it's going to keep on happening.
Now, Garland said that there's no legitimate interest, government interest, and oversight interest in the audio recordings. You all had the transcript. Congress had the transcript. Why'd you need the recordings? To that, what do you say?
No government interest or oversight interest in knowing how the president of the United States handled a high-pressure interview. Look, the crazy thing here, Laura, is they're saying that's executive privilege. Well, the substance of the interview is already out there in the transcript. What this actually goes to is the president's state of mind and whether he, frankly, has the mental acuity to do the job. It is the height of the government and public interest to know exactly what he said and how he said it.
Now, the Washington Post published a piece last night about Biden's kind of going into Wilmington, and they're talking about how this is really bothering him. Hunter's travails, sure. Obviously the conviction in all 3 counts, and he landed in Wilmington for a short period of time to, I guess, huddle up with his son. Or is this an off-ramp for Biden? Could this be a potential off-ramp for him? Let's say he doesn't perform as well as they had hoped in the debates.
Well, I'm skeptical that there's going to be an off-ramp. I think the Democrats are stuck with Joe Biden. They would like to replace him, but they can't.
Quicksand, Biden quicksand.
We have to remember, Laura, the contrast here is so extraordinary. Hunter Biden and Joe Biden have been engaged in corrupt business dealings for a long time, and they got this Hunter Biden gun charge, which was effectively a slap on the wrist to distract from the fact that their family has been corrupt. Donald Trump allegedly committed a bookkeeping violation, and they threw 34 counts at him. The absolute miscarriage of justice here is that one guy is held to one standard and one guy is held to a different standard. The Democrats are playing hardball here, and Republicans have to learn that lesson.
There's some media report today about Jared Kushner's made all this money since he left the White House. I'm like, he was rich before he was in the White House. Probably lost money going to the White House. But no one has been able to answer this question. It's a simple question. How did the Bidens get so rich? Congressman, Senator, how did they get so rich?
Well, because they did something that's become all too common in this town, which is they traded political favors for money. Nobody would pay Joe Biden or Hunter Biden a lot of money unless it's for political access. And the contrast, Laura, to the Trump family, which came into the White House as billionaires, and they're trying to destroy them, is such a good piece of evidence that we have a good public servant in Donald Trump, and we ought to get him back there. It's really crazy to me that he was actually successful before politics, and now they're trying to destroy his business. Joe Biden got rich from politics. That's quite a contrast.
But look, Hunter was able to balance so many different things. He was a good multitasker, so maybe he could bring that acumen to the complex world of international finance. Senator, you're very cynical about this. Do you think Kamala Harris could could step in and be effective as a campaigner?
I think that Kamala Harris is the best insurance policy for Joe Biden because she's maybe the only person who'd be even worse at it than he is.
She's a good dancer, though. Senator, great to see you. That's not
good to see you.
That's not her dancing. All right.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.